their brain and feeds their pocketbook. I hope they discover talk radio. They discover us online, and the conversations that we have with leadership that make the decisions that are relevant. Mayors are irrelevant to the construction issue. Mayors can pick up the phone and make phone calls to state representatives. Mayors can pick up the phone and talk to lawmakers in D.C. who are going to get nothing done, contrary to whatever's being done right now. What we have right now is a chief executive, Donald Trump, enforcing the law, 180 degrees polar opposite from Joe Biden, who did not enforce the law and invited people to come tsunami style into this country illegally and stay, being given a blanket to stay. Some path to amnesty, which is breaking the law, and it was treasonous. 10 million plus illegals allowed to stay, game the system, work the system, and you got another almost 8, 10 million that skirted Border Patrol and ran because they have criminal records and they didn't want to go to jail, or they were running drugs, or for whatever nefarious reason. Mayors are irrelevant in this whole work site, workplace, raid thing. They can't do anything about that. They're local leaders of one community. They have no power whatsoever. It is at the state level. You know what they want? What this young man wanted? He wants to address the issue of shortages in labor. You address shortages in labor by initiating workforce projects, which we have several. We've done several interviews. And tell me when you go live, Freddie. We have several. You're live. We've conducted several interviews. There are some adult high schools that are state funded. Ages 18 to 50, whether it's HVAC or welding or other skills, there are adult high schools dotting not only the valley, but the state. Get adults from being, a cook or somebody washing the dishes, and get real construction, industry type of skills and get in the workforce. That's the reality now. And it's been up and running for a couple of years. Edinburgh High School, McAllen High School, the ISDs, they've got new training programs, especially Edinburgh. They got this 108,000 square foot facility for HVAC, for welding, for erecting structures, electrical, plumbing, all these trades. It's real. It's here. And these kids are already landing jobs when they graduate. So it's here. The state of Texas realizes that we are way behind the curve. We have industry that is flooding the state because they're running from California. They're running faster from California, faster than Governor Goodhair Newsom ran to Houston this past weekend to do a jig because he got his Prop 50 passed to get 5 more Democrats in the U.S. House. They've been running from California, from regulation, from taxation, from just stupid laws in California that are onerous, a lifestyle that their employees cannot afford. They've been coming to Texas. And we're catching up. We got a lot of trades to provide people. Plumbing, electrical, construction is there. So just be patient. Get yourself informed. TSTC has programs. Edinburgh CISD has programs for erecting buildings for construction. Yes, we do need to address that. And mayors have nothing to do with that. I'm just addressing that video that was sent to us earlier. There is. I want to bring before I get my friend on the radio who's on the way. I want to share with you how long is this conversation, by the way, Freddie? Let me see here. He's not in the lobby right now, is he? No. Okay. Let me get the spinning. So the Senate passed the spending measure to reopen the government. The House votes on it today. The House has to vote on it today as is. They can't change anything. And there's a poison pill in there that might be killing the hemp industry the way it is. What Dan Patrick, Republican Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor of Texas, capriciously and stubbornly tried to do and failed to do, which was to kill Texas hemp industry, to ban THC, guess what? The U.S. Senate provided him a poison pill for the industry to pretty much kill this industry. And that comes up in this conversation from D.C. Update on the shutdown. Go ahead, Freddie. I think we see the light at the end of the tunnel on this government shutdown. Ryan Smells, Fox News up in D.C. joining us. So House vote today, right? That's what we expect sometime today.
That's correct, yes. It looks like we're expected to probably in the evening hours. So Eastern time, probably 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock time frame. We'll see who ultimately votes for this. Obviously, travel is going to be a problem here, where
Okay.
some of these members are going to have a logistical nightmare. But that's also why they're having the vote in the evening, is because they want to give these members enough time to get back to DC so they can have full attendance.
The vote needs to cross the 218 mark. Is that what it is? Is that what?
That is correct.
Required?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Republicans, if they're at full attendance, and every single Democrat votes no, Republicans can afford to lose 2 members. Now, we expect one Democrat at least to vote yes. That would be Jared Golden of Maine, who's retiring. He's kind of a moderate.
Okay.
And then you factor in also that there could be other Democrats who jump on board. Jose Gonzalez, Henry Cuellar, those are some of the ones we're watching.
Really? Okay. Yeah, that'd be big news for me if these boys, local boys, jump on that. There is one issue. Maybe you can help me explain how this might either stay on the legislation or maybe be taken out. I don't know if you saw this. Folks in the hemp industry are very concerned that the way the spending measure was passed in the Senate, man, it drastically lowers. So it pretty much kills the hemp industry the way it is established right now. And you got folks in Texas Hemp and National Hemp going, no, you need to take that out. It's going to kill a 20 some odd $1 billion industry. Though if you reduce the THC down to that microscopic level. Anyway, what do you know of this? Is it in the House version? What have you heard? Anything?
It's in the House version. I mean, they have no choice but to pass the Senate version if they're going to get this through. Yeah, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul were the 2 Republicans who voted with a quite a big group of Democrats to try to remove that language and strike it from the bill. Yeah, pretty much it essentially lowers the amount of THC. It would crack down on high THC levels in hemp products. So this is something that Rand Paul had cautioned was going to be detrimental to the hemp industry. Now, we should also point out too that there was another provision that was put in here related to Operation Arctic Frost, where pretty much the 8 senators on the GOP side who were allegedly had their phone records looked into by the Biden administration and Special Counsel Jack Smith would be able to sue the federal government for up to $500,000. There were a lot of Republicans who were furious about that, and Democrats obviously too. But even Republicans were not happy that was put in there.
Very interesting. Yeah, but there's no time for debate. There's no time for committee. There ain't nothing. Take the package as is and pass it and open the government. That's pretty much what's going to happen today, right?
I mean, because if you amend it, you have to send it back to the Senate. And,
no,
I don't think anybody wants that right now.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, we'll take a look at the fallout from that later. Anything else you're watching today up in DC?
I don't know. That's pretty much the main one.
By the way, thank you on the Jody Arrington thing yesterday, the Lubbock lawmaker.
Oh, no problem. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, he was actually in Congress when I first I was living in Odessa when he first got elected, so I was partly in his district. So it was wild.
I am today old. I did not realize you're a West Texas boy. Wow.
Did I forget? Wow. I started my career. Yeah, me, Mike Emanuel, and Camila Bernal at CNN all worked at the same station.
You're not a Cowboy fan, are you?
No. I'm a Ravens fan. I grew up in Maryland.
Attaboy, yeah. You had a happy childhood. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. Ryan Smells for Fox News up in D.C. Time is 9:20.
Thank you.
The Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV. Time is 9:20. Appreciate you joining us on Radio Para Mi. That's the free app, and listen on your smartphone. This hour of the Sergio Show is a service of Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, ChamberlainLTD.com. The hope is that perhaps everything gets back to normal, and hopefully federal employees get their back pay, I don't know, like Friday or Saturday, because as soon as they approve everything, that's right, the president signs it, hopefully they get their back pay. What does that mean for importers and folks that are dealing with folks that are sending stuff to the U.S.? We'll talk about that next on 710 KURV, The Sergio Show.
Later on after The Sergio Show, stay tuned for Dana
Time is 9:23. The Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV, made possible this hour by Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. Hey, it's in the name. Precisely what you need. Waterproof that commercial roof of yours and any project you're about to erect. At Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, ChamberlainLTD.com. From Interlink Trade Services, my friend Jorge Torres is in the studio. Of course, you can catch us as well at 710 KURV, Facebook and YouTube and X Live as well. We'll put this on LinkedIn later in the day. LinkedIn doesn't do the live thing, so we have to work extra hard to get it out there for you to see it. And that's a new page for us, and we really enjoy the community there. Jorge Torres, welcome back to the program. You came from an event over with a bunch of maquila managers just earlier this morning. I was telling Jorge, I really enjoyed the years that we had. We were blessed to speak with Keith Patridge, and Keith was like quarterly, más o menos. He'd give us an update on how many companies came to the area that they recruited to Reynosa, to the maquilas, how many they expanded, jobs created, and potential runoff economic impact. The maquilas always seem to be like a leading indicator of industrial output here in the Midwest and up Northeast. Because if they shut down over there or they slow down in Mexico, you watch it. It's going to slow down in the midsection and up Northeast in the country as well, other factories. So I know you speak with them on a regular basis. What's the general feel right now? We're not looking at data, but what's the sentiment from the gang, the maquilas in Reynosa? Are they busier? Are they slowing down?
Well, things have been pretty status quo, kind of stagnant to a certain degree,
okay.
But there are some expansions going on. Obviously, there's some movements of companies, more from a strategy perspective to other countries, but there's going to be some new operations moving to the Reynosa area. So.
Nice.
We should hear something soon. I'm going to put Ralph Garcia, the
Ralphie
COO
boy.
of McAllen EDC, on the spot, but he probably needs to come by soon to speak to you about those things.
I need to ask Ralphie.
Things might look better for 2026.
10-4. Do you see this as perhaps as a result of the tariff issue where the president has been slapping Asia, China specifically? The whole idea is to reshore or near shore, which would be near us, near shore, Reynosa. Is maybe some of this industry coming to Reynosa as a result of that?
Most definitely. Like I mentioned before, I think Mexico is in a pretty good position geographically from a strategy standpoint with the United States. Obviously, we're going to see nearshoring and reshoring of companies because of the, especially China, although things kind of calm down, at least for a year with China, but we still have some issues to iron out. But hopefully with the USMCA revision, renegotiation, things will stabilize in 2026. And we're going to see some good opportunities for the Valley, in particular for reshoring and on the Mexican side for nearshoring as well.
Do you think it makes sense, the reshore or nearshore idea? Do you think it just makes sense to take your company there, to take your corporation there, to get closer to the U.S. or come to the U.S.? Because I said from the beginning of the whole tariff issue with the president taking the tariff stick and using it to try to get renegotiations, to try to get trade deals, and he was successful to the UK, the EU, and Thailand and Vietnam, all these places that he has. Okay, but because China can wait us out, China can wait in administrations, left, right, the pendulum. And China will not budge, it seems, many times when forced to do something. It kind of makes sense to me to be closer to where the market is, the U.S. market, manufacturing market, and just be closer from this point on, knowing what's taking place in China, how they've been abusing the whole trade issue with us for the longest time.
Well, one of the things that has been mentioned before, and one of the complaints that the current administration in the U.S. has, is that Mexico has been used as the backdoor for Chinese products. And to a certain degree, it has. Obviously, there's a lot of things to consider, whether they're raw materials sent to Mexico for processing and then exporting to the U.S., or product from China just being repackaged, relabeled, and shipped to the U.S. as Mexican origin, that's considered transshipment. Then we have the processing of raw materials, which is more substantial transformation issues, things of that nature. So that's something that both the U.S. and Mexican government are looking into carefully to see how they're going to carve it out in the revision of the USMCA. But we have to remember that China, they're looking at the world. They're not looking just at the U.S. So quietly, China has been taking over a lot of regional market opportunities and pouring their products into Africa, Eastern Europe, South America. So they're playing that card as well. So right now, for U.S. consumption and for North American consumption, we have to look at USMCA as the strength that we have, and with that, reshoring and nearshoring should be taking shape in the next few years.
Customs broker expert Jorge Torres from Interlink in the studio. Now that the government is opening up, what does it mean for folks that are shipping to the U.S.?
Well, we did, from an operational standpoint, from a commercial crossing standpoint, customs didn't stop. That was a relief. We had several meetings with customs, a lot of communication. So the flow of goods was not impacted by the shutdown. Some of the administrative functions, one of them in particular, companies getting refunds from post-importation claims or other refunds, those were delayed because of the shutdown. Also, inquiries by the trade community to customs on issues such as Section 232 and other issues, they were delayed. And meetings with customs, our monthly meetings, were also delayed. So now that we're going back in business, that should start normalizing. So that's good for our trade community.
We've talked about this before. The U.S. Supreme Court sitting on that decision. Everybody chomping at the bit, see what they say as far as the president using these emergency tariff powers. If they say, nope, you can't be raising the money, that's taxation, okay, plan B. I know there's some write-ups on the potential plan B, on what the president, what he might use to continue wielding some type of power to bring countries to the negotiating table. So what can he use?
Yeah, there are other provisions that he can use, Section 232, Section 301, just to name a couple of them. So AIPA, even if they shut down AIPA, that's not the end of the world or the end of the options for the president to assess tariffs. So he has other venues to do that.
But there might be rebates then. There might be, right? If the emergency power is shut down. And,
yes.
Right? There's like a market. You told me there's like a market. There's a write-up on a market.
Yes, for refunds, yes. Yeah. The potential of refunds, it's on the table, obviously. That's what a lot of companies, importers, are expecting, that if the AIPA gets struck down, that they're expecting the refunds. The mechanisms, they might be complex, but there's expectations for those refunds of those tariffs. And yes, like we discussed, there is a market where investors are buying the rights to get the refunds on pennies of the dollar, like 20 cents on the dollar. So some companies are considering that as well.
Recalculating tariffs then for you on the front lines, like what does that do for those inputting the formulas of what needs to be charged and at what time needs to be? Like that would be like a nightmare. The refunds, like as soon as the decision comes down, like what we go back to what we were on January 1st or January 20th or something like that?
Well, each import has a transaction, which is an entry summary, and that's where the duties and tariffs are assessed and they're calculated. So importers need to make sure that they have all those documents ready, because if the refund process is put in place, that transaction number, the entry summary number, that's what's going to be used to get the refund. In most cases. So that's what we're looking for. So companies are looking at the record keeping, making sure that they have the entry documentation, invoices, packing slips, certificate of origins, all the documentation required by record keeping requirements by CBP, so that in case there's a refund process, they're ready to file the protests, which we call protests, based on those documents. So
Jorge Torres from Interlink Trade Services. The shutdown, it will likely be before the end of the week. You mentioned something earlier that it reminded me of how the proof of products that come in, they have to declare where they come in. It has to say on the label, hecho en Mexico or made in China, things like that. If it goes through Mexico, if China uses Mexico as a backdoor to get into the U.S. What provisions are there for imports to Mexico, labeling or other documentation to show for us to know that China is using it to come in through Mexico to head to us? How do we know?
Well, there's two approaches here. One is obviously using the customs laws and regulations for importers. They have to comply. Customs will do random examinations on shipments coming to the United States.
Okay.
They will check for country of origin marking, compare it to the
Do they
documentation.
have that? China needs to label for Mexico before they import into Mexico, that there's a label on there that says this was made in China.
Well, right. Yes, Mexico has its own labeling requirements.
Okay. Similar to ours?
Similar to ours.
Okay.
So, yeah, Mexico is doing their efforts. They're putting their efforts to ensure that, first of all, obviously, that the correct country of origin is declared into when they're importing goods into Mexico. And then, but here, it's on the export from Mexico coming into the United States. That's where things can get nasty, if you want to call it that way, where customs needs to ensure that if an importer claims that a product is country of origin Mexico and they claim USMCA, to provide proof. And that's what I was talking about earlier about the customs auditing entry documents and validating that that there was a process in Mexico, substantial information, all that in place so that it justifies for the product to be of Mexico origin and that it qualifies for USMCA. If it's not, then importers can be subject to very heavy penalties and even fraud and criminal cases. So that's what we're warning importers. Be careful. Make sure that your claims are legitimate and you have all supporting documentation in case you get audited by customs.
From Interlink Trade Services, expert in customs, custom broker, Jorge Torres, you still need help? You're still hiring people to help you out with all the different issues?
Well, we're trying automation. We're trying to redo our processes, but we might be hiring more people in the next couple of months. So we'll put the ads in LinkedIn and the social media as well. So.
There you go, Freddie. There you go. Yeah, Freddie's putting in his application already. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Jorge Torres from Interlink Trade Services. Time is 9:36. The Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV. This hour of the program, a service of Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, ChamberlainLTD.com.
The best gun show in Texas is coming. The Saxet Gun Show. This Saturday and Sunday at the McAllen Convention Center. Buy, sell, or trade. The Saxet Gun Show has everything. Guns, knives, military, and every caliber of ammo you can possibly need. Doors open at 9 a.m. this weekend. For more info,